This is amazing, Nick. Like Joe Biden's keep getting documents found, and now we can add Mike Pence.
And stands ready and willing to cooperate fully with the National Archives and any appropriate inquiry. Mark.
I'm sure what happened is when he heard the news about the Vice President Biden having some documents inadvertently, that he immediately ordered his staff to go and make sure that there was nothing, and they came across something. We don't know what it was. We don't know. For example, Biden had TSSCI documents, which is that's a different level of seriousness. So, and those are things you can't easily secret, confidential documents are a different story. So we don't know what that is. But
you notice how both sides try to point out small details to see how our guy is okay, but the other team he's bad. Now the blue team does it in. Look at all the amount of documents, and we cooperated. He had to get raided. That's the difference between our guy and his guy.
I just saw one. Dude, I literally saw a few seconds, and that's like a script that they are required to read. Yeah, Joe Biden got caught with documents, but we got to say that this is way different than Donald Trump. Like they have to say that. It's so. We need like Matt Orfalea. We need one of these great video editors to put a compilation together of. And I'm saying this with the small amount of segments I watch. Every single person who comment on this, it will be Joe Scarborough. He's like, I say this is different than Donald Trump. And I hear my guest, and the guest like, hey, before I dive into this, I'll just let you guys know that this is different than Donald Trump. I'm like, are you guys? It's so
but it's so deflating, and you can hear the deflation when you're talking about the blue side and people like Joe Scarborough and MSNBC and CNN. You can see the deflation, and there like John King on Into Politics on CNN. Oh damn, Joe Biden. Now we went hard on Trump on the classified documents. Now we got this. Now they have to change their tune. So let's listen. These people on Fox are trying to do the same thing, trying to downplay, and you hear it in this last point that he made. Oh, Biden had these other markings on there, so clearly that was a higher level of classification.
I think it's great that he was so responsible to check that, and it seems like we've got a broader problem.
Yes,
but I think our government is a bipartisan problem of people mishandling classified information.
We've known that, and when former President Obama, Molly, changed what it meant. Can you talk about that? Because there was a change that Obama made about who can declassify and document so on and so forth. That was during the Hillary Clinton.
Well, and also right before he left office, he changed some of the rules about classification as well. We have multiple issues here. One is that there's so many classified documents going around that I bet Mike Pence will not even be the last person who was a vice president or president to make this kind of announcement.
Oh, you mean all of them are stealing shit? Is that what you mean? Like all of them, like she's trying to say, it's probably common then. I guess we didn't know it was common to take classified documents. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I'm after this, I might interject the quick 3-minute Morning Joe clip I saw on this. But one of my favorite parts about them reporting the story, and the reason why I thought about showing it because I saw it this morning, and this I want to show you the mirror because I'm literally blown away watching this. I'm like, what they're reporting on Pence documents is exactly the way Joe Scarborough and them, because they found more documents under Joe Biden. And then this is literally the exact same coverage.
Then you have to play it.
One of my favorite things about this, watching this segment and watching the Joe Scarborough segment, is the heartbreak that institutionalists have when they realize how much of a dumbass their ruling class heroes are. Like the institutionalists are broken over this. But go ahead, TJ.
Announcement. And we do need transparency, and we can't have self-government without transparency. But really, this entire thing, this type of dispute is
transparency about classified documents. Why don't you unclassify them? And that's when we get to that article, I'll bring that point up. So, but let's finish out at least the clip here.
Common, even what Biden is going through is somewhat common. President Obama had paperwork disputes with the National Archives that are ongoing. What really made this whole thing different is when the National Archives and the Department of Justice took a fairly common paperwork dispute with a former president, one they despise, and they turned it into this big, crazy thing of raiding.
Do you think that's the point? Like I said, I alluded to it earlier. This could be just a normal thing that always happened, but media, corporate media, who is the PR arm of the Democratic Party, said, this is a chance for us to go ahead and throw something at Donald Trump again because we're afraid of running against him. Go ahead.
I actually did not think about it, but that's such a good point. Why didn't they investigate Trump over the Emoluments Clause? And why didn't they do an impeachment over Saudi Arabia investments? Because the ruling class was really careful, except in this part, and what they choose to go after Trump, because they didn't want to implicate themselves. They didn't go after him on war crimes or anything like that. They went after him on stupid shit like Stormy Daniels and Russiagate and a lot of other. They had to deflect to the dumb shit because they didn't want to talk about anything serious that may implicate them. And this story, the reason why I think this is a good point is because they jumped the gun on this one. They're like, oh, we can get Donald Trump on classified documents because it's the institutionalists being disappointed. Where they're like, oh, surely the Democrats didn't do this, so let's take this opportunity to go after the dumbass Donald Trump. And now they're realizing that their ruling class heroes are exactly what we said, the same as Donald Trump, in terms of seriousness and competence. They're all incompetent. Go ahead, CJ.
All right, let's play this clip here. Is it gonna play? Oh yeah.
Covered at the home of former Vice President Mike Pence.
This is just a breaking news story. Let's see if it plays.
Roughly a dozen government documents were uncovered at the home of former Vice President Mike Pence. That home is in Indiana. The search took place last week. The documents were found by one of the former vice president's lawyers. The FBI was immediately notified. This find, of course, flies in the face of repeated Pence denials that he held onto any classified materials when he left the government. The backdrop to, well, you all know this, two separate special counsels already investigating the current and the former president, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, for potential breaches as well and how they handled government secrets. It's roughly a dozen.
So to me, it's egg on your face, John King. And this is John King because he was one of them that was going hard. Trump and this and that. What is this saying? Look at these different levels. He would have these panels. Look at these different levels. Look at that market and this market. That's high level secrets, you know? I mean, what could be the highest level secret? Just think about that because we're going to be transitioning to what are these secrets? Like, what are those high level secrets?
DJ, you mind if I interject the
Joe Scarborough thing?
Yeah.
Actually, let's do it.
Because I want to do it right now because I want to contrast it with the Fox News clip you just played. And I don't want to. I think it might be out of order.
Get too far.
It wasn't not too long. Let's put that in there. And not too long because I didn't make it that long into this. I usually don't. I usually just watch these things out of morbid curiosity, and I usually make like 3 minutes. Like, I'm done. So, and I think this is interesting because I'm gonna show you guys the contrast between this and the Fox News clip, and also you guys get another showing of the propaganda you see in Morning Joe, and the reason why I compare it to Tucker Carlson. So I'll show you Tucker Carlson. Let's listen to Morning Joe. You just saw how Fox News reported on the Pence classified documents. We had seen how they reported on it over the last few months. Listen to this cope in by Joe Scarborough. I want to here it is.
I'm preparing myself here.
I got to check to make sure here it is. So yeah, here it is. So listen to this cope because more Biden documents were discovered.
More than 30. More classified documents were discovered at President Joe Biden's Delaware home last week. In a statement on Saturday, the president's personal attorney revealed that FBI agents spent more than 13 hours at the Biden's Wilmington residence on Friday, and their search turned up, quote, 6 items consisting of documents with classification markings.
The pain on their face as they report the story is going to be hilarious.
I saw it on Joe Scarborough's face already. He was in pain.
They dug a hole so deep because Morning Joe, more than almost anyone I've watched, was the number one people that's saying having classified documents is the cardinal sin. Now, they always change with the cardinal sin based on whatever Trump just did recently, right? Stormy Daniels was the cardinal sin. Now this is the cardinal sin. But the problem is now their own guy got caught with it. So how are they going to cope with it? Keep that in mind. I'll let it play for a while here.
Like the documents previously found, Biden's legal team says the newly discovered files were from his time as vice president. But his attorney also says the new batch included some documents from Biden's time in the Senate, where he served from 1973 to 2009. A Biden administration official and a separate source familiar with the matter tells NBC News that the latest search was prompted by the White House, not the Department of Justice. It's unclear if the new documents were found in the same location as previously unearthed files, which were discovered in a room adjacent to Biden's garage.
So, again, let's go ahead and just say what we always say, much different than the Trump documents where they had to go in and
Can you stop? It's like he's like he's in the propaganda meeting. Like he's not on stage right now. He's in, okay, so we got to say the regular stuff. That's like he said it right now. Like he had no nothing behind it. He's like, damn, I'm tired of doing this, Joe. I'm tired of doing this, Joe. But the regular thing, this is different, and blah 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 blah. Like that's what it feels like.
The whataboutism is unbelievable. Like they have no shame. Let's listen to that part again. Joe Scarborough has done this so many times. Listen to his see his body language. Listen to his tone of voice. He's like, yo, you know, I always say this is our disclosure. This is our disclosure.
Let's go ahead and just say what we always say, much different than the Trump documents where they had to go in and they had to fight them, negotiate, finally get in. Trump lied, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. George Conway put it this way, kind of funny. I don't understand why the Biden people are voluntarily giving access to investigators instead of stonewalling and lying and screaming witch hunt and calling the investigators Gestapo
but
and
Trump,
frivolous lawsuits against them. And let me just...
Their boy was caught doing something illegal. The same thing that they criticize Trump for doing. The only thing they can respond with is, what about Trump?
Instead, also, and making sure that they leak the names of the people that did those investigations to put their lives at risk, to make them targets of abuse.
We're going to have Ian Sams on the show from the White House to talk more about this, but it clearly looks like Joe Biden said, you know what, I'm going to have everybody go through everything I have and make sure there is no more question of what there is. Well, he was in the Senate for decades.
I got to say,
I'm not making any excuses. This is just not good. But
I got to say, Jonathan Lemire, yeah, it's completely different. Completely different from the Trump document.
These are wounded propagandists here.
Yeah,
these are wounded propagandists. They're like, Mike, you can feel they don't have the same emphasis. They're like, just like, bro, you can't give me the arc of the story and then change the arc of the story later. Like you told me 3 months ago this was gonna be heavy, like classified documents, and then Joe is doing the same thing. It's like, come on, like. That's the feeling I get.
Look at how uncomfortable they are. This is a giant L for their show because now even they know that even people who are watching them, they're like, "Yo, you just was melting down over Trump and say he should be in prison over this." Now when Biden doing, you guys are making 1,000 excuses. Not everyone gonna see it, but they know that contradiction and they know their moral character is a sponge after this. After all the stories they did over this with Trump, and now they're like, "Fuck, man." I can't believe Biden did this to us. And that's the next part of the story. This is the last part I'm going to show you guys. Because after they first do a 1-minute disclosure. They're like, before we criticize Biden here, guys, all the liberal viewers, we got to do a 1-minute disclosure. This is completely different than Trump. And then watch the next part where we see like how disappointed they are and how low morale they are that they took this giant political L. Listen to this.
I got to say,
this is
Jonathan
just not
Lemire,
good.
I got to say, Jonathan Lemire, yeah, it's completely different. Completely different from the Trump document case, and we can list all the ways. At the same time, come on, man. Senate documents.
Come on, man.
Senate documents, and they keep finding documents. Like, this is.
Come on, man.
You're not supposed to take.
You see how fucking mad? He's so disappointed. Like, Biden, I was setting you up, man. I was attacking Trump. I was trying to get him impeached. I was trying to ban him from running. He do this. He feels so betrayed. I want to play a little bit more. I want you to see the reaction of these other people, and then one of the other guys chime in, and you see they give the same disclosure. It's like they're contractually obligated to do so.
Classified documents out of buildings, as we have said repeatedly on this program, and it just keeps going. They're going to open up a bathroom and find that it's wallpapered with classified. I mean, come on, man. How much longer is this drip, and go? And one thing I would say, up to this point, the same thing. It's going to be political fallout. There's not going to be legal fallout. I do, though, start wondering what Dick Durbin, the head of the Judiciary Committee, knows when Dick Durbin starts talking about how serious this is and how diminished Joe Biden is by what has been discovered. Does that suggest, Jonathan Lemire? What do we have this clip?
Let's play Dick Durbin's soundbite.
We have senior Democratic senators, allies of Joe Biden, actually speaking out. Take a listen.
To think that any of them ended up in boxes in storage one place or the other is just unacceptable. But having said that, let me make this point clear. Joe Biden has said from the start, we are going to be totally transparent about this.
That doesn't matter.
I'm going to open my home voluntarily to a
doesn't
search.
matter.
It's unbelievable how this.
That's the same thing as transparent.
Who's at fault? But with that being said, putting it in a political kangaroo court's not going to help.
Yeah, he said it was unacceptable at the top.
I'll just play the first part of what this guy said.
Again, I agree with the gentleman, but this drip, it just keeps going, Jonathan.
Yeah, this is certainly more of a political problem than a legal one. That's established. And we should say one more thing, that when federal agents searched Mar-a-Lago, they did so with a search warrant because the Trump folks would not give them access. That's very different here in Wilmington. That said,
you see how the first thing I do is interject Trump and say that's why it's different because of this. They did the same act, son.